Welcome back to Gerodynamics. Okay, so this is going to be me talking about. So I already did the movie review for Conclave, but I'm Catholic, and there's some religious aspects. Well, the whole movie is a religious aspect. Well, something that I wanted to discuss. Just kind of like things that were on my mind about it. And so basically, the concept of the movie, again, if you didn't watch the movie review video, the concept of the movie in brief is the Pope has passed away, and they need to elect a new Pope, and so it's really kind of like a focus on like the political intrigue of that process. Um, it also focuses on some of the deep seated things going on in the church that have been kind of there for the last like couple of decades or whatever, 5 decades really. Not couple, like more like 50 years, with the church and things like that, becoming more progressive and things like that. And not like full progressive like we talk about with our politics, but just, evolving from what it was when it was, originally created, that sort of thing. But anyway, so the concept is to elect a pope, right? Well, but for the church, that the process that they go through, it is technically an election, but really what it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be the Holy Spirit speaking through the cardinals of the church to be able to decide, who is going to be the next, speaker for the church, the pope. And when we look at the Pope is not supposed to be a political figure. The Pope is supposed to be someone who helps and guides the church. When the Pope speaks on matters of religion and faith, he is supposed to be, and the word is going to escape me right now, but he is supposed to never be wrong, right? There's a better word for that. And I don't know why it's not coming to me. But anyways, infallible. There we go. He is infallible when it comes to faith and religion. He is not infallible on worldly things. He is not infallible in his life and his choices that he had made all the way through his life. But when it comes to talking about the direction of the church and the faith of the members of the church, that's where he's infallible. So we have this current pope, and this is kind of leaving the movie for a little bit, but the current pope, Pope Francis, has a past that's more of like a Franciscan type past, where he's more focused on taking care of the poor and those sorts of things, which are amazing. That's great. But someone who goes into that is more of a social type of, cares about these social issues and cares about the social aspects that aren't necessarily the entire focus of what the Pope is supposed to be focused on. And so sometimes he gets involved and says things that, either are interpreted in a way or he actually does mean them this way that, are sometimes looked at as leaning towards the more progressive in politics, right? And some of those things he is. He is more of a open borders type of. He believes in open borders. He believes in that immigrants should be cared for in a manner that beyond just focusing on whether or not they came legally or illegally, that sort of thing, taking care of the poor, the indigenous peoples. He believes in those types of things, and sometimes the positions he takes seems more political than they probably, and maybe even probably intends, or maybe he should be getting involved in, right? And it's okay for him to speak on things that aren't like based on the church and religion. He is a human being. He is allowed to have opinions, and he's allowed to have these beliefs. But oftentimes people can conflate between the Pope speaking on things and speaking as the Pope, right? And so he's not saying that the Catholic Church's official position is that there should be no borders, although sometimes it comes kind of across like that. And so it does kind of get confused a little bit with him. Whereas with prior popes, the focus has almost been exclusively, and they almost exclusively publicly speak on things that the Pope should be focused on. And so it's kind of a new thing for us to have to experience a pope who also speaks on things that are outside of that scope. And that's something that is we're dealing with. And I mean, eventually unfortunately he does look like he's in poor health. He obviously popes are typically older when they take the office, and they're not always in the greatest of health, and so unfortunately we will lose him sooner rather than later, and we will move on. And I don't know if we'll continue down that path of trying to find somebody who's more open to sorry, my dog's right here, so petting my dog, trying to keep him comfortable while also talking about these things. And so, I don't know if we're going to continue down that path, or we're going to return to a pope who focuses more on the issues of the church, right? And that's kind of what this movie is about in a way. What direction do they want, a pope to move, the church into? And so what type of pope do they want? Do they want a pope that's going to continue to just manage things, and not progress the church one way, or return a church to traditions another way? Those are things that, are kind of discussed in the movie. And it's the thing about, oh, here he comes. Bruce wants to say hi. Hi, Bruce. How are you doing? Are you okay? Are you okay, buddy? You feeling kind of off? You're okay. Go lay down. Go lay down, buddy. Go lay down with Robert. Go say hi. Go lay down. Come on. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go. Go, go, go. Go. Go lay down. Okay. Sorry about that. He's a cute boy. He's a good boy. He just very needy. Has anxiety and that sort of thing, which is weird for me to say because I never really thought of dogs in that way until I had him and realized, oh, definitely, he is that dog. All right. Anyways, okay. So back to what I was talking about. So that's kind of like some of the concepts of this. But they definitely frame it as, the people who want to return to older traditions or want to focus on older traditions are the bad guys. And the people who want to continue to progress the church in a yes, Bruce. I know. You're really kind of just struggling with things right now. It's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Okay. All right. Go lay down. Go lay down. No yawning. Go lay down, buddy. Come on. Go. Go. No. Go. No. Go. Go lay down. You're making me look bad here, buddy. You're making me look bad. Go lay down. Come on. All right. He's like, fine. Fine, I'll go lay down. No, he's not. He's sitting right there. He may make another appearance. I can't promise things. Sometimes he's really good at listening. Sometimes not so much. All right. So so that's it's focusing on basically who I am. In this movie, I'm the bad guy. I prefer the traditions of the church. Now, mind you, the church moved from had Vatican II either right before I was born or right after I was born. I'm trying to remember. I think it's 78, 79. I can't quite remember. And probably right before I was born. So really, it's all I've ever known is that the church does masses in all languages, right? Before that, it was only Latin. I do enjoy a Latin Mass. And so sometimes I will, if possible, go to a Latin Mass. But what I love about the church is that, yes, you can go in any language, and it still is the same Mass. I can go in English. I've gone to Spanish Masses. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but very little, tiny. I understand a little bit more than I can speak, but not enough, But when you go to Mass and it's in Spanish, you know exactly what's going on because you know how the Mass is supposed to progress. And so I don't mind Mass being in other languages, but I do enjoy a Latin Mass. being able to sing along in Latin and be able to, appreciate how the Mass had been for centuries, right? Before I was even here, it's been doing the same thing for centuries, right? I enjoy that. Um, you look at some of the more like social issues that sometimes get brought up. Say um, the fact that priests are only men and nuns are women. I like that. I think that that's something that should continue, and some people want that to change. They want women to be able to become priests. And I understand their position. I just don't agree with it. And it really kind of, for me, it's like, well, if women can become priests, then what's going to happen to the sisterhood, to the nuns? I think that's something that's a very important part of the church. I don't diminish that like some people do, and to lose that would be something that I wouldn't want to see happen. Um, but I could see the church one day changing that. It's they're having a shortage of priests, and I could see them changing that, right? Um, and some other more progressive issues. I could see the church moving in those directions. So let's say the issue of gay marriage. Well, um, Catholics specifically do not hate the sinner, right? And we don't hate people who are gay. Um, but we do believe that the act of being gay, not being gay, but the act of being gay, is a sin. And so, and then on top of that, marriage is a very, very specific thing defined in the Catholic Church. It's not as open as it is in the secular world. So, that's not going to change, but that's something that some people would like to change, is that the Catholic Church would recognize gay marriage. I don't think that that's something that's ever going to happen. I don't think it should happen. But we don't hate people who get that, right? We shouldn't be, disrespectful to them. We shouldn't be violent, definitely. We shouldn't try to take away their rights. We shouldn't do anything like that. But inside the church is never going to condone it. The church is never going to go ahead and sanction it, and we don't have them. So it's not. I don't think that people should come to a church and expect to be able to have that done. And sometimes you see that, and that's unfortunate. They think that they can force that upon the church, and that's not a good thing either. So there's these issues that I find myself on that side of things, and this movie definitely portrayed those as the bad guys. It also basically made it like the whole thing was political intrigue, and it was just all about the politics and social things, and what direction the church was going in. But that's not what happens when a pope is actually selected. There's a lot of prayer. There's a lot of okay, well, I'm going to make a choice that I think would be a good person to lead the church in the future. And then okay, so less people agreed with me, so should I try to select somebody else? And then they just keep praying on it and praying on it, and eventually you get a majority of cardinals voting, and the pope is selected. There's not a lot of backroom dealings. There's not a lot of that, and I know that you get a lot of stuff when you watch movies like this. You get Da Vinci Code stuff, where you think that all this stuff is super shady, and there's all these conspiracies and stuff. It's not really like that. There have been periods of time in the Catholic Church where things were not where they should be, and there were popes who were not as good as they should be, and there was decisions that the church has made that we definitely don't approve of. But it's not the conspiracy that a lot of people try to make it out to be, as far as that. And so when you start doing, no, stop, Bruce, go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. I'm busy. Go. Come on. Go. Go. Go lay down. Go. All right. And so we don't. people will come up with all sorts of things, and they'll say that there's stuff that's hidden in the vaults and things like that. It's not really like that. And so it is what it is. People get this idea. It's a much more entertaining movie to be able to say that it's focused on all that. So basically, what happens in the movie, and I didn't spoil it in the movie review, but I'm going to spoil it now. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it to be spoiled, that's what I'm going to be talking about next. Basically, there is one guy who is trying to become elected, who is a very conservative, very traditional, wants to return to the old ways, and that sort of thing. And he's portrayed as kind of the bad guy, right? One of the things they lump in with that, which is really weird to me, but let's go ahead and talk about it, is that he thinks that the Pope should be Italian, right? That the Pope can't be from South America or Africa or even other European countries, really, that the Pope should be Italian. And for a long time, the Pope was Italian, because the religion was based out of Rome, and there you go, right? So a lot of popes had been Italian over the centuries. And I don't think that that is part of that side of things. So there is definitely factions within the church that believe that we should be focus on the traditions and not change things so much. I don't see any of them talking about how the Pope should be Italian. So no. But they threw that in the movie too, right? So I disagree with that, but most of the stuff I actually kind of agreed with the bad guy, which is it makes you feel a certain way. But anyways, there's that guy, and then there is a more of a progressive, and I'm forgetting the name of the actor who played that guy, but I think it was the. Anyways, then there's more of a progressive guy. He's played by Stanley Tucci. And he's portrayed originally as the good guy, which is kind of interesting twist that goes into the movie. He's originally portrayed as the good guy. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want the power. He doesn't want to be, in charge. He doesn't want to be the Pope, kind of like Jon Snow doesn't want to be king, right? But they're still voting for him, and so he's, kind of working things, and then later you find out that he is working backroom deals, and he really does want to be the Pope, and he doesn't think that anybody else should be the Pope. But when he starts losing, he starts getting really flailing almost, and then he starts trying to throw his support behind someone else who is also not a great guy, but is not that traditional guy that he really doesn't like. So that's Stanley Tucci, and then there's John Lithgow, who is the guy that he ends up throwing his support behind, who didn't. At first, there was questions about whether there's foul play with the Pope passing, but there wasn't. He had health issues. He died of natural causes, but right before he died, he actually didn't excommunicate John Lithgow's cardinal. He just basically said, "You're not going to be a cardinal anymore, right? We're removing you from that position." Well, then he passed away, and so John Lithgow's character just kind of tries to push that under the rug, and it comes to find out that the reason why he was going to remove him was he was doing some shady stuff with money, where he was trying to take the contributions to the church and funnel it to churches where he was going to be able to buy the votes so that he could be named the Pope after after the current Pope passed away. So it was just money stuff that was really shady. Not that he was stealing money, not that he was, doing anything illegal. He was just sending contributions, donations to the Catholic Church to these other dioceses to buy their vote, basically. Again, this kind of stuff doesn't really happen, but, that's what they're showing in the movie, and, So anyway, so he's a bad guy because of that, right? And hiding the fact that he was removed. Then there is a Pope from Africa who is no, Bruce, no, stay down. Okay. Then there's a Pope from Africa who seems like he's right down the middle, kind of, wants to do the traditional stuff, but, he's not so traditional like the Italian guy doesn't want him to be the Pope because he's African. But he's kind of like the perfect choice, and he is starting to get a lot of momentum and a lot of votes behind him, and it looks like he's going to be named Pope. And then John Lithgow's cardinal has a nun brought in um, to help take part, because the nuns are helping through this whole process. They're not cardinals, they're not voting, but they're helping through this whole process. And he brings one in who has a history with the cardinal, who is starting to gain popularity. He's going to become pope. And so apparently, when they were much younger, both her and him, they had a relationship. They were nun and priest, so they shouldn't be having any relationships. And she was quite a bit, like, they were both really young, but she was quite a bit younger than him even. So there was that aspect of it. So she had a child, and so they put the child up for adoption or into foster care. I can't quite remember. And so that it was a controversy, and it got out to the other popes, or to the other cardinals, and so they started not voting for him. Well, that was all set up by John Lithgow's character. So there's that political intrigue, and then the guy who's running things is Ralph Fiennes. He didn't want to be pope either, but he starts getting more and more votes, which upsets Stanley Tucci's character. But he doesn't really want to be it, so he's trying to encourage people to vote for other people, but they keep voting for him. And then there's this other random choice, which is he's from, I think, South America. He's not supposed to be Francis, but kind of like along those same lines. He's more of a Franciscan. He wants to be put in places where people are struggling. He's in Afghanistan. He's in Iraq and things like that. Where he's helping Catholics who are not really supposed to be there, but they're Catholic and that sort of thing. So he's like a war. He's in war, like war-torn areas and stuff, and he's seen things, right? Well, he's come in, and no one knew he was a cardinal. The pope that had passed away named him cardinal in secret so that he could do his missionary work in these areas without having a bunch of attention brought to him, because it could have got him killed, type thing, right? But it is official that he is a cardinal, and they do let him sit and vote. But none of them knew him. Well, he starts getting a few votes here and there, because he's the outside pick, the person who, like, he says some things where he's like, this is not what we're supposed to be doing here. We're supposed to be speaking with, he's the one with the real spiritual take on things, right? So he starts getting more votes. And then in the end, it does kind of come out where he ends up winning, and he becomes the next pope. And, I'm thinking, oh, this is great. This is such an interesting direction for this to have gone. I'm super satisfied with the outcome, right? And then they have to do one little more twist at the end of it to, like, kind of throw us all off, right? And so it turns out that he has like a health issue, right? That they've been kind of questioning throughout the movie, but no one knows exactly what it was. But it's not really a big deal. He seems like he's okay. So if he gets elected, I mean, they're all kind of older, but he was more of a younger cardinal too. So he would be pope for a lot longer. And so, but then they found out that he had this health issue, and they were worried about that. But it ended up not being a big deal. Well, it turns out it was a pretty big deal, because without outright saying it, basically he had sex organs for both a man and a woman, right? Not like a full-on hermaphrodite, or maybe he was, I don't know. But yeah, basically, like, he was both a male and a female. And so it's kind of like, oh no! It really wouldn't be that controversial, because a lot of people with, like, interesting health things become priests, right? Because it's a path that you can go down. So it wouldn't have been that shocking, but they made it out to be this big shocking revelation at the end of the movie, right? And Ralph Fiennes' character's like, "Oh my gosh, you didn't tell us, and this and that," and he's like, "Well, yeah, but the last pope knew." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, if the last pope knew and he was okay with it, then I'm okay with it, and we're all okay with it." It was an interesting direction for the movie to go in. They tried to make it like it was some super controversial thing. But my take on things is, I think it's funny that you know, in our movies and in our cultural things, we do want to make the church sometimes be this big bad boogeyman, right? And that the conservative traditional members of the church are seen as the bad guys, and it just kind of made me feel certain ways, and I just wanted to talk about it. So let me know what you guys think. I don't know. I kind of rambled a little bit, but it's just something I wanted to talk about. So let me know what you think. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.